I want to go back to you affirmed that I call them partners like BPO partner. And there's a lot of views, there's a widespread use of outside partners for call centers. There's also widespread kind of perception that, look, I want you to help me save costs, cover the hours that I can't. You've got to affirm our brand and our culture and don't hurt our CSAT scores. That's what I need from you. But when you and I talked before, when you call them a partner, they're a strategic asset for the company. And I just wanted you to be able to explain what you see and why they are a strategic asset and should be looked upon that way.
Absolutely. They're an extension of your brand, and they have to be not looked at as a vendor because we're saving money. It's really we're working together to achieve this common goals. And the challenge is that remember back in school when we were learning all about computers, a lot of our processes aren't perfect and we pass them on to our partners in an imperfect way, or we pass on training in an imperfect way, or we pass on how you guys coach. And then some BPOs have good programs and some people don't. And what is coaching? That's the whole thing is a lot of people have different definitions of coaching, and I won't get into that rabbit hole. But remember, I was saying the lack of clarity at the C-suite and it's trickling down is a lack of clarity from corporations to their BPO. And they're not setting their BPO up for success because of the lack of clarity. So the BPO has got to figure out what does the client really want, and they do X thinking that's what the client wants when that's not what they're looking for. Like even a benchmark of what good sounds like in a customer interaction, as an example.
That's a great example. And would you also agree that these outside partners, they work with many organizations, so they have best practices outside of your organization in our paradigm of how we think about doing things, but they bring in best practices, they bring in benchmarks, they bring in a fresh third-party perspective. Is there a value in looking at an outside partner as a strategic asset more than just continuing on the programs we have in place, but helping support us in ways that we haven't thought of before, in ways that we can't, because we only see our data. We only know what we know from our purview. Is there validity in that?
Absolutely, but it depends on the partner. There's some people who get into being a BPO because it's profitable for them and they don't have all the mechanisms in place and the processes in place. So you get that kind of BPO, then you get the global BPOs, the big guys who are very, very structured, too structured that they're not nimble enough for a specific requirement for a client. And I'm speaking from experience. I've worked with some of the big BPOs with big corporations. And when we bring in what the role of a leader is, it's not the role that they have because they're an organization where we just tell people what to do and they should just do it versus being in a collaborative environment where you work together to create a strategic plan for you to develop. And then we measure how well I did first in supporting you, and then how well you did in implementation. So I think there's a variety of things. One of the things that we always recommend is the champion challenger model. So have at least two BPOs, do not have more than three BPOs. I think one organization, they had seven. It was like, I don't know what you're doing in seven. It's a lot to manage, but having two or even three at the most allows that innovation to occur because there's that friendly competition to innovate and to better the client's business.